Yes, hello. I'm here with LL, and we're going to summarize the Grimm brothers story, The Hut in the Forest, and then we'll talk about it.
It starts with a lumberjack living with his wife and three daughters in the forest. And one day he has to go out to cut wood, and he complains that he won't get the work done if he can't have the eldest daughter bring him his meal. So the eldest daughter is sent out to with food, and he decides to help her find her way by strewing some seeds along the path. But unfortunately, all the birds eat it, so she can't find her way to her dad in the forest. And it starts getting late, and eventually, the daughter realizes she has to find somewhere to stay for the night. And she finds a light in the distance, and as she gets closer to it, it's a house. And she knocks on the door, and an old man tells her to come in. She explains the situation, and the old man says that she can stay, but she would have to cook and make the beds for him and his three animals. So he has a hen, a rooster, and a brindled cow. I'm not sure what brindled means, but some
Yeah,
kind
me
of
neither.
cow.
Mm.
So she agrees to cook. And when she cooks, she finds that there's an abundance of food in the kitchen. So she's able to cook a good meal. But she only cooks for herself and the old man, and she has her fill. And once she's finished, she asks if she could stay the night. And the animals, they tell her, um, you have eaten with him, you have drunk with him, you have had no thought for us. So find out for yourself where you can pass the night. And that reminds me, like going a little backwards. The old man asked the animals if she can stay, and
Right.
it's going
Yeah.
to be throughout the story, but he always asks them like this, pretty little hen, pretty little rooster, and pretty brindled cow, what say ye to that? And they respond with ducks, when he's consulting with them about whether or not the daughter should stay.
Mm. Yeah, and the narrator
So
said, and that must have meant we are willing.
yeah, so going back, so the animals tell the eldest daughter that since she hasn't cooked or had thought for them, that they she can find out for herself where to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, and afterwards, the old man instructs her to go upstairs and find a room with beds, two beds, shake them up, and put linens in them. So she makes the beds and puts clean sheets on them, but she ends up going to sleep before waiting for the old man. So because of that, he shakes his head, looks at the girl, shakes his head, and when she falls asleep, he opens a trap door and she gets falls into the cellar. And so once the lumberjack comes back home, he complains to the wife that the daughter didn't come for his meal. And yeah, she says that tomorrow they will send out the second daughter, and they're just assuming that the daughter will come back and that she must have only gotten lost temporarily.
Mm.
Uh, so this time, the lumberjack father sets out again to work in the forest, and the second daughter is sent out. This time he decides to leave lentils because they're a bit larger than millet, and he thinks that there should still be some left for the second daughter to see along the path. But different kinds of birds eat those too. So the second daughter also gets lost, and she again sees the light in the forest and finds the house with the old man and the animals. So she knocks and begs to stay. And once again, the old man says to the animals, pretty little hen, pretty little rooster, and pretty brindled cow, what say you to that? And they say, Dukes. So again, she cooks the oatmeal and she eats and drinks with the old man, but this daughter also didn't give thought to the animals. So they say again, you have eaten with him, you have drunk with him, you have had no thought for us. Uh, find out for yourself where you can pass the night. And again, like the old man instructs her to make the beds for them to sleep. Um, and she does fall asleep before the old man came as well. So he does the same thing. He opens the cellar, and the second daughter now gets trapped in the house. So on the third morning, the father comes back and again complains to the wife that the second daughter also hadn't dropped off his meal. And this time the wife is reluctant, but she still agrees to send out the third daughter, and they still think that both their other daughters, are going to come back. And this daughter is described as being good and obedient and prudent. So, and she seems to be the favorite daughter of the mothers, and she calls her dearest daughter.
Yeah, she's quite reluctant to let her go.
Mhm. So this time, the father he decides to leave a trail of peas into the forest, and he believes that these are large enough that like other animals and won't eat them, and that they will be visible. But again, the same thing happens. All the pigeons this time eat the peas, and this daughter also gets lost. So same thing happening. She gets lost and finds the house in the forest to spend the night at, and she asks the old man to be let in. And they describe that she, compared to the other daughters, she begged quite prettily to be allowed to spend the night there. And he asks his animals with the same little uh, phrase
Diddy.
again,
Mm.
ditty. They said yes, Dukes, that she can come in. And compared to the other daughters, when she comes in, she pets and caresses the all the animals. And she also um, yeah, agrees to make the meal. But before that, she decides to feed the animals first. So she cooks barley for the hen and the rooster, and
Mm.
then she brings the hay, a sweet, smelling hay for the cow. Um, yeah, and she makes a good soup for the old man, and she waits for him to eat, and she eats whatever he leaves uh,
Mm.
after the meal. Uh, and yeah, she just shows care. She gives the all the animals water, and they're satisfied. And it gets to become nighttime, and she asks the animals if it's time to go to bed. And once again, the old man asks them, like, pretty little hen, pretty little rooster, and pretty brindled cow, what say ye to that? And the animals say, Dukes, you have eaten with us, you have drunk with us, you have thought kind thought for all of us. We wish you good night.
Mm. She gets the animal's blessing now.
Mhm. So she goes up the stairs, makes the beds, and she does her prayers, uh, and she waits for the old man to come and sleep first, and then she goes to sleep. But when she wakes up at around midnight, she starts hearing loud noises in the house. It seems like the foundations and the walls are cracking and making loud noises. And it becomes quiet, uh, and she falls asleep again. But when she wakes up in the morning, she is surrounded in luxury. And she realizes she's in some kind of uh, glamorous palace. And three attendants come in, and they ask her what orders she would like to give. But she's still concerned about the rooster, the hen, the cow, and the old man. And she's asking if she should go, that she wants to go feed them before she goes. And then she looks to find the old man, and she realizes that he's not on the other bed. she notices that instead there's a handsome young man where he was laying down. And the handsome young man gets up and tells her that he was a prince that was bewitched be an old man with his attendants who were transformed into the animals, and that the spell would only be broken if a girl came along and showed care for him and all the animals. And she was able to do that. So he sends for her parents and they marry, and he says that her sisters, they're going to spend their lives as maids to charcoal burners until they learn to become kinder to all living beings.
And do not leave poor animals to suffer hunger. The end.
Mm.
I just realized this is a lot like Beauty and the Beast. This is a whole
Oh
lot like
yeah,
Beauty and the Beast.
there is charcoal too. No, wait, no, I was thinking of Cinderella. Never mind.
Yeah, but the charcoal part at the end is punishing the sisters into a really kind of endless punishment, which is like Beauty and the Beast, where in I think we did one, didn't we? On the Beauville version, French version, where they're turned into statues. So it's this kind of, possibly endless or anyway very long kind of damnation like punishment.
Yeah, and it's like always also like some kind of rock or charcoal or some kind of
Mm.
earth element.
Yeah. Yeah, the charcoal burner. There's a little bit of the hellfire kind of invocation. We've read about charcoal burners in the forest kind of just existing there before in the knapsack, the hat, and the horn, where this third son goes deep into the forest, deep, 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 and eventually comes to this sort of otherworldly kind of endless forest. And he meets three charcoal burners, and he's able to get to steal gifts from them. So there's some kind of demon like kind of quality to them in some way. Yeah. Yeah, I joked with you before we recorded that this is a story that you chose, and you supposedly said it was because of the length. It wasn't too long. We didn't have all that much time today, but I joked with you that you found the story that had the most animals and the most pro animal kind of message. It even had pigeons. I didn't notice that the first time we read it. Those were the birds that picked up the third trip of the lumberjack. But yeah, yeah. I mean, in some this seems like a pretty straightforward message. Is sort of like I don't know. It's like Beauty and the Beast. It's like feminine kind of virtue. At least that's how it was kind of viewed in the past. The third girl is shown to be more loving and more beloved. Um, she cares for. She doesn't just do what she's supposed to do. She doesn't just um, try to cook food for the old man in the hut. She's like looking around. She's aware of her surroundings. She's like, wait a second, like what about these animals? And she's petting them. She's kind of in touch with everything. And that makes me think, that probably has something to do with how the spell is broken, right? I mean, the spell in this story that happened off camera, so to speak, or sort of before the story ever happened of the prince in the palace. Um, yeah, a lot like Beauty and the Beast, where he's damned, he's bewitched, and then like a truly good love in girl is kind of going to break that spell, right? And the way that she acts kind of makes me think there's something about her sort of loveliness to all life around her. It sort of brings this nourishing kind of radiant feminine kind of element to the whole hut, and it's in a way that's what brings life back into this hut, where the hut was sort of monotonous. They have this ditty every time that they say, pretty little hen, pretty little rooster, what do you say to that? And the old man has his beard almost down to the ground. It's this sort of state of stasis or decrepitude or something like that. It's this devoid of liveliness, and she brings kind of care and love and is therefore able to renew the whole thing, and everything cracks open at midnight, the which is the diametrically opposed time of day from around noontime, which is when her woodcutter father was wanting his meal brought to him, which is a lot like what what the old man slash prince wanted at the end, his meal prepared for him. But her poor lumberjack father is not able to get his meal at all this whole time.
Mm. Yeah, and he tries to like provide the ways to reach it to him, but they don't work. But meanwhile, the prince had everything prepared in the kitchen, and it was easy for them to do.
And he didn't say how you're supposed to do it exactly.
Mm,
It's like the lumberjack is ordering people exactly as they're supposed to do it. He's kind of being like a micromanaging boss or something.
mm,
He's ordering them exactly as they're supposed to do it, and he's like complaining ahead of time, or I won't be able to get my work done, you know.
mm,
And then he's never able to get fed. I mean, he's going hungry here these 3 days. But then, yeah, the old the old man who's the prince in disguise at the last part of the story, um, he kind of is like testing out the servant or testing out the wife. Like he's just kind of telling them he's kind of providing them what they need, but he's not telling them exactly how to do it. He's kind of testing to see who's going to be the best one, who's going to be the one who can really help. But he's not looking for just food. That's the lumberjack is maybe looking he doesn't see things as a whole, maybe. It's like I just want my food, I need to do my work. Here's, I'm going to strew some seeds on the path so you can find me. Like he's seeing things in parts,
mm.
but the prince slash old man at the end, he's seeing things as a whole and knows that it's not so much the delineation of the job that I'm ordering, it's more like the person, the life who comes. So it's a sort of like appreciation for the feminine. He appreciates the true virtuous feminine, whereas the lumberjack just sees them as kind of like a someone to serve him or just, someone to help him out. The prince at the end sort of sees like a wholeness to to uh to the girls that interact with him, because the lumberjack at the beginning, like, um it would totally be okay if the the daughter the first daughter or the second daughter just brought him the food. That's all he wants. He's not looking for any big thing. Like I
Mm.
said, he only sees a small slice of things. He doesn't understand things as a whole. It's kind of like treating people instrumentally or treating things instrumentally.
Yeah,
There's
and
some yeah, yeah, go
it's
ahead.
just odd the parents didn't seem too concerned about the daughters getting lost.
Hmm.
They're
You
more
think that's
concerned
a
about the food. But
yeah, and that's the different from how the prince at the end is treating the animals, even though they're only
mm,
animals or they're his servants, but they're still not his children. So there's huge amounts of contrast between the lumberjack and his wife at the beginning of the story, and the second part of the story with the hut in the forest.
Mm. And even though he punishes the daughters in the end, it's not like he's forgetting them necessarily or didn't give a thought to them.
Yeah. Well, he's not. Yeah, I mean, he's just yeah, he's sort of concerned with the morals,
Yeah.
the moral quality of the girls, whereas the lumberjack
Mm,
just needs them to bring him his damn lunch.
mm,
But yeah, he's kind of a leader type, where the lumberjack is more just like the sort of just trying to get his job done, which is sort of like reminds me of the woodcutter in another story by the Grimms, The Spirit in the Glass Bottle, where he is also sort of overly focused on his job, nose to the grindstone kind of thing, and he ends up kind of not having enough money to educate his son. It's like the woodcutter in that story also is kind of like just focused on his job and is not really able to be successful in life, kind of. And also has like a son that ends up kind of separating from him in some way. He becomes like a famous doctor, you know. In this story, the third daughter kind of separates from her family and becomes a queen, becomes a princess. So this story, yeah, kind of seems like being a caretaker, understanding the things around you in more fullness, the environment and the people and living things around you in more of the fullness of their being, rather than being narrowly focused on the job you think you're supposed to be doing.
mm.
Any idea why maybe the prince was bewitched? Why he became the old
Mm.
man with the long beard in the hut in the forest with the hen, the rooster, and the brindled cow?
Well, maybe he wasn't so like in tune or something with nature.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
wonder
maybe
about
that was
that.
his punishment.
I mean, in the
That's
older Disney version of Beauty and the Beast from the 1990s, with the Celine Dion soundtrack, the I think the prince there is like he's arrogant, and he is approached by an old woman who is trying to sell a rose, or anyway, she needs some charity, right? He's a big time prince, but he's ungenerous to her. And then that's when he gets cursed to be a beast, to be unattractive, to look on the outside the way he is on the inside.
Mhm.
And then you know, the idea is through the love of Belle, which means beauty, right? Uh,
Mm.
Through beauty, love is able to infuse his soul, which is a really great story. Um, in this story, yeah, we don't have an idea, I don't think, of maybe the justice that might have been brought to the prince, and what kind of penance, the reason he might be paying penance as an old man.
Mm. Yeah, and I thought so too, that even though a witch kind of uses nature in a way where whatever she wants to do for her benefit, on some level, she still has like a connection or understanding to it. So maybe, like I said, the prince um, maybe in some way wasn't respectful or connected to nature and maybe the transgression or something got the ire of the witch.
Yeah. Yeah, that would, and then slowly over time, he learned to appreciate nature. He was
Mhm.
kind of the old man in the forest in a little hut with thin walls. Um, and with living inside with animals, and he's waiting, the idea is maybe he's been taking care of the animals for a long time, and he's waiting for a companion that can bring that kind of energy there. Yeah, it doesn't seem to talk about that part.
Mm.
Yeah, of course. So it'll end with the marriage feast and the sort of at least temporary damnation. This at least some kind of bewitchment of the two elder sisters themselves. Um yeah, do you have any other thoughts about this story? A fun little
Mm.
story.
Not so far.
Yeah, I don't either. Maybe we'll have some insight later we'll bring to bear when we talk about some other story. But yeah, well, thank you for choosing this nature loving, animal loving story. It was a fun little one. The hut in the forest.